Should the Noles be 7.5-point favorites?
I think this is a very interesting spread. I look at it. If the game was next week, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. But due to the extra time, I think the Noles should be favored by this much. I look at it, and you look at this matchup, and I think if you went position by position, and much like I said against Alabama, I don't think there's that much difference. I think you would take the Florida State player over most of the positions on the field, probably 80% of the positions. Maybe the offensive line, you give the edge to Auburn. Even at running back, the spectacular year that Trey Mason has, Florida State has 3 guys that are pretty close to as good as him, and if they were in that offense, they probably would put up the similar type numbers. Quarterback, I think Jameis Winston, I think everybody hands down would select him at that position. Defensively, I think they're better. And then the reason I say the extra month is why I think it should be that way. You look at Auburn, what they do offensively, they are a very one-dimensional team when you talk about their rushing attack. Probably the best team at what they do in the country. But they're facing teams, and especially the last few weeks of the seasons, when they're facing Alabama, Missouri, who are basically only getting 2 practices to prepare for all that misdirection, the tempo, the quickness, the athletes that are coming at you. Florida State will have 15 practices to get ready for that, where they can get ready for the misdirection, they can get ready for the up-tempo, for Trey Mason, Nick Marshall, and the other Auburn weapons that they have. I think that's going to be the key for the game, the extra time that they'll have to prepare for that offense.
Something special is going on, and I should have known. Skip warned me about this weeks ago.
A month ago.
Weeks ago. I'm sorry. How
4 weeks?
How many weeks do you need? I
said weeks 4 weeks?
Yeah, let's go back to Kings Point. Out there freezing out on Long Island.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I mean, weeks. Yeah. What does weeks mean? I mean, it's 4 weeks in a month.
He was in on it early.
I mean, my goodness. All right. So, but anyway, let me say this. It's important. Listen, it's important because, I mean, I don't think I would be interested in college football as much as I am if it were not for him. He's the one that got me started. He was on me about it for years and years.
It's my fault.
You remember that? Skip couldn't get me. I mean, it took him to get me to watch college football. Now I love it. I can't get enough of it. But here's the deal. I watch Auburn, and what's special about Auburn, it's not just Trey Mason. It's the fact that I'm looking at these numbers, and that's why I turned it to this USA Today article that they wrote today. 379 yards rushing against Texas A&M. 233 against Arkansas, 444 against Tennessee, 296 against Alabama. Against Arkansas and Tennessee, they threw a combined 15 passes. Why I say it's special, it's because Auburn's not trying to trick you. They're like, this is what we're great at. We're coming. We dare you to do something about it week after week after week, and no one can stop them. And I'm like, 500-plus yards against Missouri. I thought Missouri is good. Is Pinkel and those boys, are they that bad, or are these boys that good? Trey Mason for over 300 yards rushing. I mean, suddenly leapfrogs into the Heisman conversation. He may not win, but he might win. We don't know right now with the kind of
season. He's not winning. He's not winning.
Well, again, of course we thinking Jameis Winston. But at the same time, since y'all are always talking about stuff, and it's not just your play on the field, but there are other factors that go into the Heisman. We don't know. So, I mean, and it's college football. We're talking anything college football. We don't even tell me something's locked 100%. I don't believe anything is. But, of course, I'm thinking Jameis Winston's going to win the Heisman. My point is, even though I'm rolling with Florida State because of Winston, I love this boy Benjamin. I love Shaw. I mean, these boys can play. They're loaded. I get that. Auburn is scary because they just keep coming. It's like Rocky Balboa, you know what I'm saying? I mean, of course, he could have messed with Apollo Creed, and Apollo Creed kept knocking him down and beating up his face and making him look ugly. But he wouldn't stay down. And that's what I'm seeing from Auburn. They won't stay down. And if they don't, things can get very, very interesting with one game for it all. That's all I'm saying.
Danny Kanell.
Oh, boy.
You've got one shot, you and your Florida Staters, and you nailed it. 1 month. That's your only hope to me. If this were next Saturday night, I'd be all over Auburn, especially if you give me 7.5 in this game. This is special stuff that's happening at Auburn. This is the most unstoppable rushing attack I have witnessed since my Oklahoma Sooners went to the wishbone in 1970, 71, 72, 73, when they just took over college football. Nobody could figure out how to defend it. And right now, this one-dimensional offense, they just run the football. It has about 1,000 dimensions to that one dimension. They run about 3 basic plays. They run the dive with Trey, or he's going to keep it and go off left tackle, or they're going to run the speed sweep one way or the other. But these aren't moving parts. They are flying parts. The center pull, the guards pull, the tackles pull. It's at warp speed because they don't huddle. So you get on your heels. Missouri got on its heels in that last drive Saturday night, and it was unfair. And all of a sudden, they're just running the same play. Trey Mason, he just goes up the middle, and nobody can tackle him because they're exhausted from trying to get these people on the ground. Trey Mason's about, what is he, 5'8"? He's like Emmitt Smith. You can't see him ducking and darting behind those giant offensive linemen. Bulldozers up front. Nick Marshall is a wizard operating this offense. Poise, shrewd operator.
Fast.
And when he wants to be, all of a sudden.
And only knew 25% of the offense in late
Yeah,
September.
this is all new to him. So, again, you're right. How many practices? 15 practices?
Yeah, 15
Okay, it's going to take every bit of that to comprehend the calculus of trying to stop this attack. But even so, even if you know what's coming, you don't really know what's coming. You know it's a running play, but it can come in so many varieties and at such speeds, different directions. I don't know if you can simulate it in practice. And when you have played, and you have to admit this, the 66th easiest schedule in the country, you have not seen this caliber of athlete even at Clemson the night they took Clemson apart.
I would say Clemson's offense would be tougher to defend than Auburn's.
Because of the
They've got
pass.
better, yeah, because of Taj Boyd, I think is a much better quarterback. Sammy Watkins better than any outs guy on the outside.
Taj Boyd
than
didn't look
Auburn
great
has.
that night.
Yeah.
No, and that's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Florida
good.
State shut him down. I will say this, because I agree with you. You cannot simulate this tempo and the speed, when you're watching a football game and you see the cameramen who are trained to follow the ball and they're losing it, they can't figure out, you know how effective it is with the misdirection.